remember, have fun. Have fun, play, enjoy, CoLab. It's all fine, yeah, even when you use the slide, just head in hand.
Sunday 12th of February 2012, hosted by Stephen East at 1 minute past midnight. The days before, the days before.
So when they come in, have a look. Obviously, have a look when they don't they?
This blog is specifically for the CoLab project on Sarah Kane's play 448 Psychosis. It's being mentored by James Palm at Laban, and I also think Central School of Speech and Drama, where he's working on the theme of good faith as meant by Jean-Paul Sartre in regard to how we live our life. James has applied this to how we act, and more specifically how John Mamet directs his actors to act. As James says on his website page on the Central School of Speech and Drama, my thesis is an investigation of David Mamet's acting technique, practical aesthetics. My main premise is that academics, critics, practitioners, and Mamet himself have failed to correctly locate practical aesthetics in the history of acting. Mamet requires the actor approach in acting Sartrean good faith. I conclude that the result of practicing the technique results in an orthodox aesthetic logic of good faith. My understanding of Sartrean good faith is roughly this. Although I hope I'll have a better grasp of it by the end of our 5 days together. On a simple level, one could say it boils down to, don't lie to yourself as an actor. In fact, perhaps that's enough for many of us to deal with. Sartre seems to be responding to Freudian ideas of the ego, superego, and id in his writings on good faith. I know how sadly lacking I am in knowledge of Freud's ideas, but my understanding of them is this. The id is what we want, here and now, our instinctive desires. The ego is what controls and organises, what wants to turn the chaos of the id into order. And the superego is the long focus, maybe, the father figure, who moralises on the actions of the id and steps in when the id is threatening to endanger the ego's grasp of power. So what does Sartre make of this? I'm not sure yet, although I know he reputed a lot of it. I found an essay on it and read it, but we'll need to take another look. It's certainly to do with the subconscious, and the idea that the id may try and hide things from the ego, or even superego. As we do in real life, if I don't like a flatmate, but I know I have to get on with him, I may tell my conscious self that they're not too bad, to allow me to get on in life. I lie to myself to make life easier, and that's acting in bad faith. And I'm not talking about acting on the stage. So for now I understand the basic idea to be, you must believe what you are performing, even if you can't relate to it yourself. A very common whispering in my ear when it relates to Sarah Kane's play that we're performing, as it deals with suicidal thoughts, genocide, paedophilia, sexual revulsion, hatred of your parents, etc., etc. For the purposes of this project, what I'm taking to be important so far is that when exploring Sarah Kane's play, 448 Psychosis, we as performers should be aiming to act in good faith. And that means finding a way to believe what we are living when we perform. And that's very exciting for me, a very exciting idea for me as an aspiring opera singer. Sunday 12th of February. Recordings of 448 Psychosis. I spent a good few hours yesterday at Trinity recording myself talking through the lines of the excerpts that James Palm has asked us to memorise. I recorded 6 tapes, each with different emotions. One to a neutral emotion and a regular beat, one dying, one hysterical, one angry, one happy, one sarcastic. Then I spent some of the evening putting them together on Logic and mashed them up. What this has taught me is that this play is very intense, very dark, very challenging, for perhaps the audience even more so than the performer, as they can lose themselves in the performance. But the audience has to endure it, sat there feeling uncomfortable. God only knows what anyone will think watching our scratch performance next Tuesday 21st at 3:30. Doing different emotions isn't the point of the project though, but I just wanted to find out something about the text, and having almost no formal acting training or theory etc. This is one method I came up with. We'll see how it develops in the next few days. Tuesday 14th of February. Day 2. Thoughts on listening to the recordings of 448 I've made. Number 1. How tough it is to act in good faith knowing the effect it will have. E.g. if my girlfriend listened to the recording, I may of me reading the excerpts in the manner of a dying person, I think she'd be really upset. That's an interesting thing to think about. Certainly one has to go somewhere very dark to read those lines in good faith. For me, I had a period of my life where I was very depressed, although not suicidal, and I can to an extent go there. But whether I really want to is a question that can easily pull me back out of the good faith frame of mind I've got myself into, to protect my real self, i.e. not the actor who's saying these lines, from reconnecting with the grief over my parents that led to the depression. It's a bit like the problem singers can confront when singing a very emotional piece and get carried away either with tears or hysteria, which can distract them from their job, that of communication, the emotion to the audience. Thought number 2. My recording in the manner of a happy person may be interesting, but it seems impossible to read in good faith. I'm just saying it happily, which may seem menacing, but I don't know why I'm doing it, and that's not in good faith. So perhaps that experiment was worth doing, but can only be left on the cutting room floor. Thursday 16th of February. Day 3. After some introductions and questions for us all to write down on a huge roll of paper, and discussing those, we read through Sarah Kane's script and discussed reactions to it. Then our mediator, James Palm, told us that we'd approach the play as a game, as he saw acting as an objective and playing games to win, to the death. And that was an objective that works well when approaching new work. So we played some game playing to win at all costs. And we added in embarrassment. You could admit masturbating, fantasising about your family, something completely off limits, and then run to a chair for which there were too few. We then gave the band their instruments: piano, double bass and French horn. We played a game where we read through a section of the script while they played, the idea for both groups to get the attention of James, our mediator. This was repeated with singers being allowed to move, so we all tried to put off the musicians so they wouldn't play. Then we repeated it again and tried positively by acting ostentatiously, reacting actively to the script, hanging ourselves to spare, looking at our genitals, still trying to get James's attention. Finally, we each took a line in turn, giving us 3 lines each. We had to line up, then each run out to the front, deliver the lines in order, and commit suicide, and make the others laugh. If we didn't, we'd have to do it again. Then we repeated this with the band improvising, one by one, after we delivered our lines, in effect providing a comedy soundtrack to our death. Our homework was to bring an idea for using the script to the group today. Mine was to make a blues song from the extract, beginning, "I gassed the Jews." Day 4. Began at 10 AM in the Baptist church. James had asked us to bring something to the table using the script. After messing around my guitar the night before, I began to mash up the 2 CoLab projects. The blues project I talked about earlier. We're now working on a strange part of the text which lists verbs in groups of 8 on the page, making up blocks of text into an ordered list. The words we had to work with were flash, flicker, slash, burn, ring, press, dab, slash. We incorporated this into a rhythmic dance using a drummer, double bassist, French horn player and pianist, until it became a wild party atmosphere, where the meaning of the words doesn't seem violent or even negative, just percussive words we dance to. Very high energy and transformative. Nothing suicidal here. Casper has composed a piece around the text, dealing with doctors' prescriptions and diagnosis. Symptoms: not eating, not sleeping, not speaking, no sex. Wants to die. Diagnosis: pathological grief. Sertraline 50 milligrams, insomnia worsened, severe anxiety, anorexia. Weight loss 17 kilograms, increase in suicidal thoughts. Plans and intention discontinued following hospitalisation. Sopicolone, Melorol, Lofpramine, Thorazine, Citalopram, Fluoxetine, Venlafaxine. Mood: fucking angry. Affect: very angry. Final day of rehearsals for 448 Psychosis. A busy day of drilling what we've worked on, both with James Palm in the morning and without him in the afternoon. Not much to talk about, although there was lots of good collaboration between performers and musicians. Although we are tending to fall back into our comfort zones. Tuesday 21st of February. It's done. We decided to give the audience members envelopes with lines from the text. Some were positive, some were negative. From what I could make out, the audience consisted of music theatre singers and my girlfriend. They looked scared and giggly at times. We did it really well, I say, and got across what we wanted to. Whatever that was. I had fun and felt light as a feather cycling back to college. Paul filmed it, so we'll see what the fuck we looked and sounded like at some point.